Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. We're back with the Alshech in the Alshech Shul. Today we are in Parashat Shelach, which talks about the spies. Very long, beautiful piece from Rav Moshe Alshech about that. But we will be focusing today on the piece right at the end of the parasha, which talks about the mitzvah of tzitzit. And that's a very powerful thing to discuss because obviously we wear tzitzit as Jewish men, and we also say this parasha, this part of the Torah every day, at least twice or three times a day. So getting in more of a deeper insight into what is being discussed here and what the essence of the mitzvah of tzitzit is very special. It's interesting though that we know that halachically there is no obligation to wear tzitzit. You only have to wear tzitzit if you happen to have a garment with four corners. There's no obligation to buy such a garment and obligate yourself. But the Gemara says that in times where there's Hashem's fury, Hashem's anger is being unleashed in the world, there's a mitzvah to go and obligate yourselves to do tzitzit and mitzvot that are otherwise non-obligated. So this would be a prime example of that right now. So everyone get yourself a pair of tzitzit if you don't have one. If you do, give it a special kiss. And let's get into it.
So what page are we?
So the page in this edition is 283, Reish Pei Gimel, chapter Tet Vav. So we're going to go and do the psukim first. It's a short chapter which we say every day. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, Hashem said to Moshe, following statement: Daber el bnei Israel, talk to the Jewish people. Va'amarta lehem, and say to them. Va'asu lahem tzitzit, they should make for themselves strings or fringes. Tzitzit, Rashi says, could also mean objects of spectacle, meaning items that you should look at. The tzitz, it means to look at something. Al kanfei bigdehem, they should place them on the corners of their garments. Ledorotam, for all of the generations to come. V'natnu al tzitzit, they shall place on these fringes, hakanaf, on the corners, petil techelet, one string made out of techelet, which is blue dyed string. The passage continues. V'haya lachem, the tzitzit, this should be for them, for tzitzit. Again, this seems to be doesn't really know what that. We don't really know what that means. This should be for the tzitzit. And now, Alshech is going to point out that in the first section was saying, talk to the Jewish people, and they should do, they should make. Now Hashem started talking to us directly. V'haya lachem, this should be to you. V'ritemoto, and you should see it. Uzchartem, and you shall remember at mitzvot Hashem, all of the commandments and the obligations that Hashem gives us, all the mitzvot. V'asitemotam, and therefore you shall do them. V'lo taturu, and you shall not go stray after achrei levavchem achrei onechem, after your hearts and eyes, asher atem zonim achreihem, which you tend to lust after. Again, the Alshech is going to say, why is Hashem making assumptions about us? Like, why is it like saying, oh, you obviously are going to be doing bad stuff, and this is going to help you?
Right.
It's like a bit.
As a parent, you're preempting.
Right. Don't give people ideas.
Yeah.
The man tiskari, this is so you should remember, and now repeating the remembering thing. You should do all of my mitzvot. You should be holy to your God. Ani Adonai Alachem, Asher hotzeti etchem ez Mitzrayim, liot lechem lelehim. I am a God who took you out of Egypt to be your God. Ani Adonai Alachem. And as we know, the next word is emet, but it's not from the Torah. Now, here's very obvious the question why it says Ani Hashem Elokechem and then it says Ani Hashem Elokechem again. So let's go through the questions that Rav Moshe is going to point out here to get us to enter behind the scenes. Vayomer Hashem daber b'nei Israel ra'u lasim lev. It's important to take notice of the following. El kefel daber va'amarta. It starts off, speak to the people and say to them. It's actually funny, I think for now 3 weeks in a row we've had this question.
Yeah.
And it's quite common in the Torah, but Rav Moshe, I always just, if it happens again and again, it means that it's normal. But no, it's not normal. So we've got to understand it every time.
Right.
Number
There's
two.
a message each time.
Right. Ki amro daber hilashon koshi. Daber means a strong way of speaking. In a commanding way. Amro va'amarta hilashon chiba. Amarta has more of an intimate, more of a friendly way of communicating. So what is the two levels of connection here in a more strong and a more friendly way? Number three, Omro ledorotam. This mitzvah is for all generations to come. Isn't every mitzvah for all generations to come? Mi lo yada shemin astam mitzvah ledorot. Isn't that a given that every mitzvah is for all generations? Number four, she'amro va'asu v'natnu. The parasha begins off talking about the Jews in second person. They shall put, they shall do. Shalol nochach, not talking face to face. V'achar kach kol sha'ara parasha, from halfway through, the rest of the parasha starts talking directly, the nochach, face to face, v'yalachem uru'item, etc. Number five, echal yad ro'otam oto yiskru kol mitzvot. How does looking at the tzitzit remind you of all the mitzvot? As the pasuk says, you'll see the tzitzit and you'll remember the mitzvot. How does that work? Number six, shenireh sheme'elav yimashach al yad ro'ototo shizkaru kol mitzvot. So he's saying, how does that actually work though? This is a question which the Holy Alshech will discuss as he goes along, and hopefully we'll understand how it actually works, because this is a very powerful tool. The Torah is telling us, by looking at tzitzit, that's going to help us remember the mitzvot and stay in the mindset of being aware of the mitzvot. And he's asking, if you look around, people are looking at tzitzit all day long, and it doesn't seem to help.
What's bechush?
Bechush in reality, like we don't see it in actuality. Number seven, Amrava lota turu achrei levavchem v'achrei einechem, that you shouldn't go stray after your heart and your eyes. Shenireh shemo'il re'iyat tzitzit, that shows that the tzitzit is going to be helpful towards getting rid of the two levatel, to nullify the strength of Shnei Sarsurei Da'avera, the two middlemen, or the two promoters of sin, Eina Veliba. Specifically, it will help negate the powers of the eyes and the heart, which are the two promoters of sin. It would be proper to find out why the heart and the eyes are mitigated through tzitzit. Number 8, Shemarau Yafoch Lomar Techila Achrei Einechem V'Achrei Levavchem. So now Rav Moshe is focusing on the order. It says first the heart and then the eyes. But the thing is, the rabbis, as they bring from this pasuk, say, Ki Techila Ayin Ro'eh V'Achar Kach V'Alev Chomed. The way sin works is that the eyes, which are scanning the surroundings, catch hold of something that is lustful, and therefore through the eyes we get pulled in, and then the heart gets pulled into it as well. So really it should say that tzitzit will prevent you from seeing, and therefore from being pulled in with your heart. So why is the order the wrong way around? Number 9, Amra asher atem zonim achrehem, that you will be lusting after. Shemoreshu vadai, that it's inevitable that we will be running after inappropriate things with our eyes and hearts. V'lo chenu, it's not like that. People aren't forced to do that. It's not inevitable. Me'arau haya ye'amer pen to you, zonim achrehem, lest maybe you shall do that, but it's not obvious. It's not inevitable.
Not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee, right? Number 10, Amra leman tizkaru. It says again at the end of the parasha, after it says that the tzitzit should be for you to remember, again it says so that you should remember. What is this additional memory, this additional step of remembering? Number 11, Amra v'yitem kedoshim le'Elokechem, mi lo yada ki niyeh kedoshim le'Elokeinu yitbarach. Didn't he know that we'll be holy? Like, what is this mitzvah giving us the extra holiness that we wouldn't have had without it? Omro ani Hashem asher hotzeti ki davar ze nodahu. Lama nemar po. Why does Hashem introduce himself or announce himself to be the one who took us out of Egypt? That's how we know him. We know that already. So why is this central to the God that we're connecting to through the mitzvah of tzitzit? Number 13, the last question. Masha chazar va'amar ani Hashem Elokechem. After he already finished, the last pasuk starts off, I am your God who took you out of Egypt. I am your God. What is this finishing off with the same statement that the pasuk started off with? Omnam. However, now let's understand what's going on here with the mitzvah of tzitzit. Hinei, en safek ki ratza kadosh baruch hu lezakot et Israel ulekadsho. This is no doubt that the will of Hashem is what does He want from us? What does He want from the Jewish people? Lezakot et Israel, to purify us, lekadsho, and to sanctify us, to make us holy. And what does that mean? Ad yiyu kol ramach evarav u'shesa gidav kodesh l'Hashem. Until a person's entire, all of his 248 limbs and the 365 sinews should be holy. So basically, the mitzvot are giving us the opportunity to acquire a holy, refined body. V'zeh al lidei mitzvotav. Ramach mitzvot aseh, 248 positive commandments. U'shesa mitzvot lo taseh, 365 negative commandments. Ki yagiat shnayim, being preoccupied and working hard with both of these, yikadshu et ha'adam, they will sanctify man. Ki al ken hayu b'mispar kol chalakav, and therefore, which is why the mitzvot are in the same number as a person's entire physical being. Right. So essentially, what we're saying is that a person is born with a soul. So the soul is perfect. The soul is holy. But we need to acquire a spiritual body. So a person being in this world with a physical body and using that physical body to do mitzvot and to refrain from averot, essentially every time we do that, we're creating that spiritual body for the soul to be able to exist in the spiritual realm without not being dead, because the soul without a body is dead. So in order for us to be able to be in Olam Haba, we need to acquire a spiritual, holy, purified body. And obviously, why is it the 248 limbs? Because actions are done with limbs, and the sinews are what is like the what retracts the muscles are the sinews. So basically, to prevent, the muscle itself is a limb, and the sinew is like to hold back. So that's why the sinews are to prevent from doing negative commandments, and the limbs are what we do the positive commandments, obviously.
Why is the body structured so you've got more negative and positive?
Interesting. I mean, it's essentially why in the root is there more negative commandments, which is why the body is structured in that way. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Okay.
V'hu ma'amarenu. This is what we explain, says Rav Moshe, if you would have learnt Kohelet with me, al chatimat divrei Kohelet, ba'omro sof davar, it's a kol nishma, the end of all of the discussions we've had in Kohelet, et Elokim Yirah, the main purpose of everything is to fear God, lomar. Hinei sof uklal kol divrei hasefer, the main point, the end, the summary of all of what's been discussed in Kohelet, achrei sha'kol nishma, kol drushei hasefer. Right, so Kohelet is where Shlomo Melech goes through what is the purpose of life. Everything seems to be in vain. Everything seems to be empty. There's no meaning. The water just flows and things just happen and people were born and people die and everything's just in repetition mode. So where's this heading? Like, what is the purpose? So the conclusion he has after all of this seemingly, what would be the nihilistic questions of like, what is reality even? So the summary of all of that is, I'll tell you what the purpose is. Et Elokim Yirah, fear God, which means to prevent milavor mitzvot lo taseh, ve'et mitzvotav shemor, and keep and do the positive commandments. Ki zeh kol ha'adam. This is the entirety of man. Man has, his whole physical makeup is made out of fearing God and acting out the commandments he is told. Ki klalut ha'adam hu ramach ivarim u'shesa gidim. That is the purpose of man. So if man were to look at reality, he wouldn't necessarily see the answers. But if a person just looks at himself and takes note of what our makeup is made out of, we will see that after a life of 120 years, what's left of a person is what he did and didn't do in terms of Hashem's will. וזה שאמרתי שהוא קיים מצוות עשה ומצוות לא תעשה, הוא כולל כל תרי"ג חלקי האדם לקדשו בכולם. A person is able to sanctify his entire physical existence, כי כך הוא מספרם. רמ"ח מצוות עשה ושם מצוות לא תעשה. So we have a specific remedy for each part of ourselves in order to sanctify and purify every specific limb in our being. והנה, now comes the problem, says Moshe. אין ספק, כי לא כל אדם זוכה לעשות כל תרי"ג מצוות. It's impossible for every person to do all the 613 mitzvot. Right? As we know, some mitzvot are only for Kohanim, some only for Levites, some only for the times of Beit Mikdash, some only if a man dies without children. Not every scenario is possible for everyone to do. So this is something that all the rabbis and especially the Mekubalim discuss. Right? One of the things that Arizal says is mentioned that the way to do that is to connect every Jew. To every morning wake up and say, I see myself as part of the Jewish nation, and thereby everybody is one. So we are connecting to all of the mitzvot done in every different situation.
Yeah, it doesn't help because there's lots of mitzvot that relate to the
Beit Mikdash, right? But maybe it means that we're part of Jewish people over all of history, because essentially we are, right? We know that we're at the ankles of the Jewish body. So what does Rav Moshe tell us we can do? How did Hashem solve this problem? Natan lanu mitzvah achat. Here we come. There's one mitzvah. Sheba b'chol yom tamid nizkor kol mitzvotav. Through this one mitzvah, we will constantly be remembering all of the mitzvot. Unekabel lasotam. Here comes the point. Once we will accept to do all the mitzvot, if we are prepared to put aside any hindrance or any cost or whatever the problem might be standing in the way of doing the mitzvah, we're prepared, come what may. I'm prepared to do what Hashem wants me to do. That itself is already making us, giving us the sanctification and the connection to all these mitzvot by being prepared to do them. V'yadua ki machshava tova HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzarfa l'maaseh. A positive thought or decision to do something, Hashem already includes it as if you've done it. If the circumstances didn't allow you to do it, and from your perspective you're ready to do it, then Hashem is not going to take away the, make it. He's going to take as if we did it. He's going to consider it ki'ilu asinu et kulam yom yom. It's as if we've done all the mitzvot every day. V'zeh sof divrei haktuvim.
Are you saying that even if you wanted to do it once, it's as if you did it all your life?
They're saying every day, because we wear tzitzit every day, every daytime. So when we see the tzitzit, we're going to see the mitzvot, accept them every day to do them, and that's as if we did it all every day.
Right.
So it's essentially like entering a mindset of like, what is the purpose of my day? I've woken up today. What's my plan for today? My plan is to do Hashem's will, come what may. And if I'm able to do everything, I'll do everything. But I'm obviously not able to, but I still want to. This is what's going to come at the end of the Parashat. We'll get to that soon. So in order you'll remember, through the remembering, just by remembering, it's already considered you've already done it. This will allow you to be holy. What does it mean to be holy? That your entire body, your entire physical existence, kol klalutchem, your entire makeup, averim v'gidim, both limbs and sinews. Masha'en ken, im lo hayta mitzvah zo, if this mitzvah tzitzit was not available to us, ki lo yichashev lachem, rak asher yikamu b'poal. If we wouldn't have this ability to remember and accept all mitzvot, then only things that were actually carried out would be considered done and sanctify those limbs. V'yisharu kama ivarim v'gidim yishur alei kedusha. We will remain with a bunch of different parts of the body which have not been sanctified. With this introduction, we will now understand the rest of the entire parasha. Let's go back to the beginning. So we're starting off with a more harsh way of communication, daber, v'hu ki inei ka'asher lo yakim, or lo yikabel alav kol mitzvot Hashem. One who is not interested in keeping or even accepting Hashem's commandments upon himself. Rachok mimenu yitbarach yechashev. He's considered distant from Hashem. V'shelo lenochach yidubar ba. When Hashem speaks to mankind, to the Jewish people, that person is considered, he's not speaking to him. So now Rav Moshe is going to tell us that speaking face to face is more intimate. That's more of a softer way of speaking. Dibur means saying a statement generally, this is how it is. I'm not talking to the person. So when we start off the parasha, we're talking to people that are not inclined to keep mitzvot. And therefore, that's why it says, not face to face and harsh way of communicating. After we've finished the non face to face communication, then we can already start talking face to face. So after this person who is not feeling connected to doing the mitzvot has been given his harsh communication, and he's taken that into account, so now he's facing Hashem. Now he's become close and beloved. So now the next part will already be face to face and in a more softer, friendly manner. So now what's going to be the first introduction part of the statement? We're talking to the Jewish people and we're saying in a strict manner, so what does that mean? You should make for yourself tzitzit you should accept upon yourself this one mitzvah, and this will include you in the entire mitzvah. Entire mitzvot. Shehu ma sheyelem lahabit ulahatzitz ba leizkor hamitzvot. So we're telling you, va'asu lahem tzitzit. Create for yourself a spectacle, an item to look at, to remember the mitzvot. V'zeh amrot tzitzit. The word tzitzit milashon. It's the same meaning as the word in Shirachirim, which is metzitz min harakim, one who looks through the cracks. So metzitz really means to peep. It's
connected with tzfat.
Yeah, I mean, is that? Have you heard that?
Look at it,
So that's mitzpeh. Mitzpeh is a lookout, but I think it's more tzofeh. Tzofeh is to look. But here tzitz, I think, is more of a to look from, like to look. So I don't know why it would be specifically. Oh, so here he's saying that through the tzitzit we're kind of peeping into the other mitzvah. We don't see the other mitzvah, but we're kind of getting a little bit of a preview kind of thing
I see.
into the rest.
Very nice.
Yeah. Al kanfei bigdehem. So first we're going to say, where does the tzitzit go? It goes on the corners of their clothes. In this week's parasha, it doesn't say four corners. It's elsewhere it says you should make strings on the four corners. But here it just mentions the corners. Which talks about the white strings. So now he's going to tell us why the word ledorotam, which means for all generations, is mentioned. Ki halavan lo yachsar le'olam. The white part of the tzitzit, that is forever. Yesh davar she'eino l'chol hadarot. One part of the tzitzit is not going to be forever or for all generations. When it comes to the techelet, ze eino ledorotam. That's not for all generations. Ki lo b'chol hadarot nimtza dam echilazon. Not all generations have access or knowledge as to what is the special fish or sea fish, the shell that has the special blood that's made the tchelet. So that's what, answering the specific question he had before. Why does it mention for all generations? Because it's contrasting the white strings versus the blue strings.
So al kanfei bigdehem ledorotam, it'll always be in the four corners. But with regards to
the one blue string
is
not going to be for all generations.
And so what? It doesn't say the Dorotam then?
So the Dorotam is mentioned when he finishes off talking about the white strings, saying that this is, up until now, it's for all generations, but this new addition, this blue aspect, is a separate thing which isn't forever. So this isn't necessarily connected to the main idea of the Torah, but he's just giving us a pshat. The passage continues. So now we're starting to talk directly to the people. This should be to you as a tzitzit, as v'ritem oto. So you look at the tzitzit, and it was a chartem, and therefore Thereby you should remember Kol Mitzvot Hashem, Vasitemotam, you shall do them, you shouldn't lust after your eyes and hearts. V'hinei, Ad Kodi Barnu, until now, the strict way of communication was Al Misha Lo Kiber Alav Ol Mitzvot. One who is not yet accepted upon himself the yoke and the responsibility of keeping the mitzvot. Mitzavinoto, and we're telling him, Le'aselo tzitzit, the first thing you should do, being someone that hasn't accepted the mitzvot, do tzitzit. And that will help you.
That the tzitzit has become such a big thing for the army, for soldiers.
That's interesting.
So one thing that they are asking for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right, it's like a step, the first step.
Yeah.
So Yasel tzitzit, we're telling the people to make tzitzit, Lizkor lekabel, therefore you'll remember Hashem, and that will help you accept all the mitzvot. Up until now, before he accepted this one mitzvah, he was considered distant, and we spoke to him not face to face. Once he's accepted upon himself and done the first mitzvah, which includes all mitzvah, now once you've accepted the rest, and you've done the first step, now we're talking to you face to face, now you're beloved. So now, once you've done the tzitzit, I'm talking to you face to face. So now, how is this going to help us remember? This is like a very practical question, and I think I've always had this question, to be honest. Like, we're supposed to remember, like, I don't know.
Remember what?
We're supposed to remember all the mitzvot by looking at the tzitzit, right? So he's going to go into it now a little bit more. When I learned it, I didn't fully grasp the answer. But we will try and maybe now in the schut of Musar and Kabalah in this shul with you guys together. If the Jewish people will say, if you Jewish person have the following question, how can you claim to me when I see the tzitzit as kol mitzvot, I'll automatically remember the mitzvot. I wear tzitzit every day, and I look at it. He doesn't help me remember the mitzvot. That's a question. So there's a condition, there's an important point to know how we can create the tzitzit to be an agent to remind us. Right? Someone's got an important meeting at 12 o'clock today. So he doesn't want to forget, and this was before the times of reminders on your phone. So in the morning he would wake up, take a piece of string and tie it around his finger. And then he'll be like, okay, at 9 o'clock, the string, like 12 o'clock. Right? So this will be the reminder. So kashrim chut be'achat me'atzbotav, you take a piece of thread, tie it on your finger, le'rot v'deskol b'alishkach menes, to keep it as a reminder. So that's the tip. Ve'im yikresh, ish echad kashar lechut be'atzbao. If someone would just randomly take a piece of thread without any intention of reminding himself anything, and just put the thread around his finger, shelo b'kavanat maskeret shum davar, he's not doing it with intention to remember. So this string has just been hanging around his finger for a few days. He has a meeting at 12 o'clock, and he missed the meeting, he forgot about it completely. He'll now wonder, I have a thread on my finger, how can I forget the meeting? The thread around my finger didn't help me anything. Anyone with a bit of sense will tell him, you have no heart and you have no sense. What are you complaining about? You thought you'll remember because you have a thread around your finger? You didn't tie it with the intention of remembering. How do you expect this to remind you of something? So now comes the nimshal, the same exactly. Hashem is saying, Hashem is basically answering this silent question which is begging itself. Hashem is going to answer this question. He's like, so you're wondering why it's not working for you? I'll tell you why. Hashem says, so you have a question why it's not working for you? I'm here to wake up your ears and to explain to you. I'll explain to you what you've been doing wrong. If when you make the tzitzit, if when you make the tzitzit, you'll be mindful of the fact that tzitzit are there to remind you of the mitzvot. As kasher tiruot or diskruotam. then it can help you as a reminder.
We're not making tzitzit.
So I actually do make my own tzitzit, but it still doesn't help. But yeah, I don't know. It seems to be though that maybe even if you just put them on, because the tying of the tzitzit isn't really the mitzvah per se. It's preparing for the mitzvah. But there is a point of doing the tzitzit yourself if you're able to. And maybe that's what he's saying. This is where I'm not sure if he's actually telling you to tie those tzitzit and be like meditating while you're doing it, with like really planning to. It's just like the guy with the thread around his finger. If you're just doing it by route, just because that's what you do.
The Umadah is by right?
Yeah, it's like an expression. Mitzvat anashim melumada is just do it because you've got used to it. So it's not coming from within. It's not coming from a place of awareness. Shelo b'kavanat haTzitzpol is You're not making it with an intention to look at it to remember. Vadai kikasher yitamoto lo tizkru mitzvot Hashem. Then obviously you can't expect it to remind us anything. This is what Hashem is telling us in the pasuk here. Vayahaya lechem letzitzit. Lomar. Kasher yiyah lechem letzitzit. If when you make the tzitzit, your intention is letzitzit, to look. Shehu g'dei lahatzitz b'lizkar. As if that is how you make your tzitzit, uritem oto schartem, then you look at it and you remember it's mitzvot Hashem. If that's not what your intention is when you're wearing and putting on the tzitzit and tying it, as how is that going to help you remember? I mean, I think in Alshech's time there wasn't stores that sold ready-made tzitzit.
No.
So I mean,
I know a little bit about this.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped at a store in Yerushalayim, the sofa shop, and I have a 4-page brochure, huge. It's called, the scientific name is Murex trunculus. And
about the blue.
Found piles of these seashells all opened in the same place, which interestingly, is where their sex organ is. That's the part that they take out, and when they dip the tzitzit in the mixture, if it's sunny, it comes out blue.
Right.
If it's in the clouds, it comes out purple.
Interesting.
But they found that all along the seashore.
Here he's not specifically focusing on the blue.
Oh.
When Rashi explains it, he says that how you'll remember is because the tzitzit is blue, and the sea is blue, and the sky is blue,
Yeah.
and the kisei kavod, right, the throne of glory is blue, and that's how you'll make the connection through the blue. It seems like though that Rav Musar and Kabalah is saying that the white, I guess because he didn't have blue, so he didn't want to make it all about the blue. But the tzitzit again, all of it is called tzitzit, and tzitzit means to look, and to look to remember, right? So so this is a very fascinating discussion whether we've found the tchelet or not. It seems to be a very strong case that we have. Again, it's not the discussion now, but 100%. There's lots of people wear it nowadays, especially in Tzfat. I think there's a big tchelet movement. I guess because it's different. Once it becomes normal, the Tzfatis won't wear it anymore. Okay, Vinyana Maskeret. So now, how does tzitzis remind us all of the 613 mitzvot? Yadua Mamar Mefarshim. Rashi brings the following, based on the Midrash. Ki tzitzit ole shesh meot. What's the gematria of tzitzit? Tzadi is 90, Yud is 10, so we're 100. Tzadik Yud is 200, and then Taf is 400. So we're together with 600. So now we're up to 600. We're not 613 yet. How do we get to 613? Shmona chutim adds 8 threads, 8 strings. V'chamisha ksharim and 5 knots. Harei Taryag, altogether 613. Now comes a side note of a question that the commentaries ask. And Tosfot asks on the fact that the Torah doesn't write tzitzit with 2 yuds. It only writes it with 1 yud. Tzitzit, the second yud, isn't there. So then we only have 590, and we end up with 603, not 613. Amru Tosfot answer, ki lamed shebemilat letzitzit mashlemet aminyan shalosh hativot. The word tzitzit is mentioned 3 times in the whole section, right? It's actually a minhag when you're holding your tzitzit during shacharit to kiss the tzitzit 3 times during the word tzitzit, right? So these 3 times, it says it 3 times. The last time it says letzitzit. So that lamed, says Tosfot, we take the lamed, which is 30, and we spread it out into all 3 tzitzits, and now all of them have the yud. So that's a bit of a play around with gematria. But now the question is, so says Rav Moshe, okay, this is a bit far-fetched. How am I going to look at the tzitzit, start making all of these calculations in my head, and be like, oh right, 613, that's going to... This seems strange. Just by looking at the tzitzit, he'll start thinking about gematria. So he's not looking at the gematria which is in the string itself. Only the 8 and the 5 is in the physical string. The 600, bulk of it, is based on the word mentioned in the Torah. And you also have to remember that the 3rd time it says with a lamed, and you're spreading that out over 3, so that's a bit far-fetched. So he doesn't have a problem with the gematria, but it has to be physically seeing it, not just referencing a word that's not in front of you. So how can it's already not seeing it. So right? So im tashlom alamed v'od ki milashon hakatuv yira'eh shal yad re'iyat ha'anaf shebakanav v'chutim yeh zikaron. So Rav Moshe is not happy with the word, the name being part of the remembrance. He wants it to be on the physical corner and the string itself. Ve'efsharhu.
So what is he saying on that last sentence? I didn't understand.
The last line?
Yeah.
He's saying that he wants us to... He's saying, first of all, it's hard for it to be with the lamed.
Yeah, okay.
And the lashon pasuk, the pasuk says, "Ritem oto." You look at the strings themselves, and that itself will help you remember. So he wants the entire 613 to be in the strings.
Oh, okay. So he's going to find a way.
We're going to find a way to do it. Ve'efsharhu. So let's suggest the following. Says Rav Moshe, "Ki hinei b'patevot kol mitzvot Adonai shehu pasuk hazeh yesh minyan tarag mitzvot." It's the 3 words kol mitzvot Hashem that adds up to 613. How?
Wait a minute. Where is Kol Mitzvot Hashem?
It says
in the Shema.
In the pasuk, yeah, in this week's parasha. So those 3 words are going to get us. So we have to be patient here with this gematrias. So the first step is kol. What's kol? 50. Milat kol ala 50. 20 plus 30. Umitzvot. What's the gematria of mitzvot? 536. Mitzvot is 40 plus 90. 130. Then we have a 6 of the vav, and then 4. So that's all together 5, 3, 6. V'Hashem and the Yud Kei Vav Kei ole 26. Harei Taryab. That's gematria 612. Umitzvat hatzitzit shehi zikaron lekulam harei Taryag. So how does he get to Taryag? The word Kol Mitzvot Hashem is talking about all the mitzvot. Is 612, and then you've got the one mitzvah that's going to get you to all the mitzvot is the one mitzvah tzitzit. Add that, and then you get to 613. So again, he's telling you that Kol Mitzvot Hashem is 613. He's not saying that that's going to remind you. He's just telling you that we have the number 613 already in the word Kol Mitzvot Hashem.
And it's also Kol. There's Kol Mitzvot. It's 613. It's quite cool.
Right. Kol Mitzvot Hashem is
613.
612 plus tzitzit. V'nei Rashi Tevot shel Kol Mitzvot Hashem. The Rashi Tevot, just the first letters, Kaf Mem Yud, is 70, Ola Shivim. Ubezeh b'habit ish al tzitzito. V'yimatzeh Shivim. Yizkor Kol Mitzvot Hashem asher Rashi Tevotav Ola Shivim. So now he's saying, you won't find 613 in the strings itself. But what will you see? You'll see 70. We'll see in a minute how. You'll see 70, you'll think the Rashi Tevot of Kol Mitzvot Hashem is 70. The first letters, Kaf Mem Yud, is 70.
Yeah.
And then you'll think, oh, the first letters are 70, and that I can see here, so that will get you to think about the rest. I mean, it seems a bit more far-fetched than the first guy, but let's see how he gets us to 70. V'hu ki yira'eh hakanaf ba'arba'a chutim shetluim b'tocho. Harei chamisha. So first of all, he's going to see the corner with 4 strings. Right, the tzitzit made out of 4 strings, folded in half. So we have 5.
What do you mean 5? Where's 5?
The corner plus 4 strings.
He's adding the corner to the string?
Yeah, because if you look at the pasuk, it says that the kanaf is part of the...
Does that help?
Oh, thank you. You're tall enough. It says that the kanaf al kamfei bigdahem, the corner because you need corners for tzitzit. So the corner is going to be part of the process. Yeah, so times it 505.
Kanfei b'gdehem.
Kanfei
So the
b'gdehem.
kanfei is part of the
count.
yeah.
וחמישה קשרים ושמונה חיתויים. And now we'll go back to the knots and the strings. That goes up to 13. ושלוש עשרה חוליות. 13 sections. Shu Amur b'Gemara, the Gemara says you can do have many sections you want, but not more than 13. Lo Yosif al shlosh esrei chulot, you shouldn't do more than 13 sections. Right, so what's the sections? The sections are sections of 3. Right, leaving space in between the every section of 3.
Right.
And in the Tikkunei Hazar, it says that the best version is to do 13. This is what we do in theory. We do 13 times 3. Harei shloshim ve'echad. Right, so we have 31 altogether. 13 plus 13 plus 5. And then we have 39. 39 actual rings. Kichol chulya shlosh krichot. Harei shivim. Altogether we have 70. Through seeing the 70 in the tzitzit, so this is the answer he gives. Again, I find it difficult, but this is
it's challenging in today's world.
No, but his question was that it's not direct, and he gave us a way more roundabout version. So. Hopefully Hashem will help us understand. But tomorrow or Thursday we'll continue with Hashem, hopefully till the end of the parasha.
Very good.
Chazak Baruch.